Hello, everyone. Welcome to Slop Talk. I'm Ben Hillman. With me is Steve. Steve, say hello to the folks.
Hey, what up, folks? Let's talk some slop.
Steve and I have been working together for the last 5 years, more than
Yeah,
that. What's your
pretty slop.
background? You've so the folks.
Uh, yeah, so I've always been into video, went to Emerson College in Boston. Like a lot of people who went to Emerson College, was like, I'm gonna be the next Quentin Tarantino, and then was like, yeah, it's not happening. And eventually got a job in Boston where I met Ben at Profitwell, bootstrapped tech company,
Mhm.
where we kind of had free reign to like be as creative as we wanted and make, shows. And this was pre-slop era, pre-AI. So it was the grass was very green back then.
Yeah, it's so funny. I forget often that we are both Emerson alumni, but then I also remember that that's part of what got you the interview in the first place. What got to pay
It-
for that Emerson Mafia spiel that people talk about all the time.
yeah, it's funny because I was like, the Emerson Mafia is the corniest fake thing of all time. And then of course it actually was real in this one instance. I was like, oh wow.
I feel like you and I are kindred spirits in that we both have that history of wanting to be like movie makers, going into the traditional film world, but then found a sort of alternative path. If you told me before I got to college that this is what I would be doing after college, I'd probably be like, "Oh, you sold out. Like you're not
Yeah.
doing what you want to do." Like, yeah.
Totally. Yeah, we're in a very unique spot because I think we've been very lucky in like the world of tech because I think we're in a pretty unique spot where we're able to, able to still stretch our creative muscles a little bit and work on projects we want to work on. We're in a unique position of being uh people that are really into creative stuff and really into, like you were saying, into immersed in the film world. We're all on board, like like, I don't want AI in my movies, blah, blah, blah. And then you look at your LinkedIn feed and it's literally just all people in tech
Yeah.
loving the slop, just at the trough of slop.
Yeah, but I feel like this is ideal, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, this is definitely for people who are themselves involved in tech, in these creative fields. I feel like there is such a good opportunity where I kind of liken it to sort of like being a patron of or having a patron for yourselves of, if you think of the Renaissance era idea of like having a patron that funds, a Michelangelo or a Leonardo da Vinci or any of the other Ninja Turtles
Mhm.
um, because that's obviously the only way I know how to eat those names in my head. I feel like there is such a great opportunity for people who want to do creative work like us, but maybe don't necessarily want to go the traditional route. But part of the reason that I'm not in the entertainment business is that my family is in the entertainment business, and so I had a very close up view on like what that was like. My aunt was a set decorator. I have a different aunt that is a production designer. My dad was location manager. And growing up with YouTube, I wanted to do it all. Like I wanted to do everything and like have a hand in all the different parts of the pie. So that's like kind of why I went this way. And I feel like other folks that are working for tech companies or just in tech in general, that's kind of what is there for you to be able to do.
Do you want to just dive in and start talking slop
Yes.
and how
Yeah.
we kind of, and the idea is kind of, we're going to talk a little bit about AI, and this is a great place to start. We were talking about the idea of good AI versus bad AI. I think you wrote down here the Adobe podcast audio sweetener, which we'll probably even end up using on this video, honestly.
Yes, the audio
Um,
that people are listening to is most definitely going to be used, filtered through this product.
it's a very easy way to get good clean audio with the click of a button. Whereas like, traditionally Ben and I would spend, a good 15, 20 minutes just, like messing around with settings in Adobe Audition to try to get the audio to sound good. This is like an example of a tool to help kind of fuel creativity and help make our job easier. It's not being used as like a proxy for creativity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm happy to actually do a demonstration here.
This example, you might think it's just like, oh, it's just making the low end louder and maybe cutting out some of the background noise. But it's actually like, this has saved my ass on multiple occasions by literally adding in audio that doesn't actually exist. Like I had a wedding video that I was like editing and
Yeah,
I was recording on the wrong mic or my microphone died on my camera or something like that. But it somehow saved my ass.
I guess to kind of like bring this point home of this is a, like, AI tool. Um, I know that oftentimes we kind of get, like, we conflate AI and, like, LLMs, like, it's kind of like a square rectangle situation on but this is absolutely, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, we would've just called this probably just software.
There was an argument in one of my group texts about we were talking AI because people keep posting this stupid Sora 2 meme videos in there. And then one of my buddies is just like, so he's so anti. He loves the movie The Irishman. And everyone was just like, The Irishman has AI in it. And he's like, no, it's not AI. It's different. And I'm like, dude, it technically is though. Like it technically, if
Yeah.
you look up, is The Irishman de-aging AI? It is. But when you look at it as like, it's similar to the Adobe podcast thing to me, where it's like, if you're using it for a specific tool to like power the creative process, I don't see the problem with that. It's more of like it's more of like using it to take over the creative process is where it kind of gets sticky for me.
We've been talking about doing this podcast for the past like 2 weeks or so. And where I keep getting lost is just going down the rabbit holes of automation and like technological advancement has always been a thing. Going back to our film school days in the, what was it, the 30s or 40s, I'm probably gonna get the era wrong. To edit a movie, you had an entire team of people that were just like sifting through the film and like finding the selects. But you or I could fill the role that used to take up an entire team of people. And so that's kind of the example of like, how is this any different than that?
A multicam sequence or something, which I guess like if you're not familiar with editing, it's like if you have a bunch of cameras in a room and you want to put them all together and sync the audio up. If there was an AI tool that could do that with the click of a button, whereas painstakingly you'd have to go into line everything up. When it comes to the actual like storytelling element and the creative element, that's where I think it gets a little sticky because if you told AI to write like the next great American novel, for example, it's basically taking the works of already existing things like
Wow.
something like Steinbeck wrote and creating something based upon that and iterating on that. If we're talking just for like streamlining monotonous processes, I
Yeah.
think it's totally cool. And it's just another advancement in technology essentially.
Yeah. Like I'm looking for that tool actively right now, the one that you just described, that's able to uh take multiple cameras and sync them up and, switch the camera angles and stuff like that. Technically speaking, I would be taking a job away from a freelancer that I'm hiring right now to do that for me. And like, I think about that a lot of like, am I no
Mm.
better than, the people that I'm criticizing for stealing the jobs of Hollywood and stuff like that? My broader problem with AI, and it's something that I know that I'll probably talk about in a future episode, is around the honesty of what it does. Let's just be honest with what it is we're looking at. And, oh, this is like incredible. Like, is it? Are you saying that because it's actually incredible, because it replaced what a human could do? Are you saying that's good for a computer? Like
Yeah.
I can pull up an example like this, but I'm tossing it over to you, I guess.
Yeah, it is very interesting, and I think we'll talk about it a little bit later when we pull up some, like, examples of kind of the slop and the reactions to, like, AI. I think it's a lot of it is in kind of the tech field as well, where it's like, you go through the comments and it's like, "This is amazing. This looks just like something else," or you know, it's like, "This looks just like Studio Ghibli. Wow, this looks just like Pixar. Wow." At what point do we stop saying the technology is so amazing and crazy and, start focusing on the actual storytelling involved. Some of the accounts that are posting like, "I made a full sci-fi movie with Sora 2." You look at all the comments and it's just like, "This is amazing, this is awesome, this is just like a real movie." It's like, are these people kidding themselves, or are they or are they saying that is the technology amazing or is the video amazing? Like, if you didn't know it was AI, would you be like, "That was an amazing use of CGI or actual time and energy?"
So Sora 2, if anyone's not familiar with it, it is a generative AI. I think I'm using that correctly. I feel like this is probably where I could do a little bit more research on like what is generative AI
Yeah.
versus not. It's artificially generated video through prompts. So let's give it a watch right here. I'll mute the audio. Everything you're about to see and hear was generated by Sora 2.
Funny about these though too, is just how a lot of the AI video now, and we'll probably will get to a point where, you know, it gets better and better, but it's funny how, like, I a lot of this shit is just, like, collages of different things that are not cohesive at all. The cohesive nature of it, I feel like we're just not there yet, like, creating an actual cohesive story. It's uh, you got a guy on a dragon, you got a guy on a snowmobile, you
Oh,
know, you just
that's
jumping
my
all over the place.
that's my favorite part, actually. The guy on the dragon. Look at the position of his body as he talks, and then look at, like, where the dragon is the direction of the dragon flying, like, when it's shot of him. What's going on? Why
It's
why
insane.
did you why did you turn this way? Like, what is that? Was it a swivel seat on the dragon? I think we should be critical about even if, like, a person made this sort of thing, because we do get critical when people make
Yeah,
these things.
totally.
The ducks in this, they change
Yeah.
dimensions, like, so much in this.
They'll let people enjoy things, like, it's like, "Oh, come on, people have always loved slop, like, come on, are you gonna say you're gonna say, like, Candy Crush? Like, people play Candy Crush, people watch Bachelor in Paradise, it's like, slop we'll talk about it with the 911 thing too, I don't wanna
Yeah,
jump
yeah.
ahead.
No, but I do think that's a good transition point, is that, like, slop is not exclusive to AI, is the big thing that I've also been thinking about here. We love Survivor. Survivor's
Yeah.
fantastic, and I would even, like, push back at people that called it slop, but I do understand that it falls into the camp of, like, reality television, of, like, this repeatable thing that's technically the same format over and over and over again. You know, junk food, basically, is what I'm trying to get at here, and, like, junk food exists, and not everything has to be like a five-star, you know, French meal. So I see these videos on LinkedIn of people that are making Sora videos of like themselves, but it like looks like something that you would make on like TikTok. Like it's in their kitchen. It's like, again, I don't want to call people out like specifically, but it's like it's in their kitchen and they show up like uh you know, this like weird looking like pancake thing. And I know the person that saw that made this will probably know I'm talking about them, but I don't want to call them out specifically. And my reaction to that was like I didn't leave a comment or anything because I like the guy, but I'm like, this just like what's the point of this? This is just like you could have just done this in real life and it would have been more endearing. But now that I see that little like Sora logo bouncing around, I'm just like, I don't know. It's lost on me.
I think it goes back to what we were saying before about I think people are more hyped on the, like, possibilities of the technology than they are on the actual quality of the video, you know what I mean? Like, it's still in the phase of, "Look at how cool it is that a computer made something that's, like, this close to being real," or, like, "Look at how like, isn't it crazy that a computer was able to make this?" When it comes to the world of trying to sell something, I think also these AI influencers, it kinda goes to your point of, like, making a TikTok or making a AI video of yourself. I'm curious, if there will be, like, a shift in tone that AI influencers are kind of disingenuous. I'm
Ugh.
curious if that's gonna kinda be a thing that we see because I feel like, it's just a little eerie that you could be watching something, and it feels kind of manipulative if you're showing me something that's a robot telling me something when I'm meant to believe it's a real human.
Coming back to I said this before, slop is not exclusive to AI, and one of the things that I have to kind of remind myself about is when we I mean, how would you define slop, Steve?
Dude, it's one of these words that, it goes hand in hand with, like, brain rot, like, this
Yeah.
term that the kids are saying now. It's something that's almost deliberately, uh, not intellectually, like, curious or fulfilling at all. How does the AI define brain rot? How does the AI overview
AI
define it?
overview. Brain rot is a term for the perceived cognitive and emotional decline caused by excessive consumption of low quality, fast paced online content, leading to decreased attention span, mental fog, and difficulty with deeper thinking. What I sort of come back to is slop in television. I know I mentioned Survivor, and I'm not going to disparage Survivor anymore. So we're looking at, according to the Hollywood Reporter, the total viewers, the 35-day ratings for the 2024 to 2025 season. There's definitely some shows on here, I would say, that are not slop. Abbott Elementary is, like, number 20 on this list, and I know that's, like, not a sloppy show. That's a pretty I mean, I think it's won the Emmy for Best Comedy 2 years in a row or something like that. But you see shows on here specifically like 911, The Rookie, NCIS, FBI, sorry to my friend, that works on that show, don't mean to disparage you. My point really, I guess, is just, like, is it really that bad for, like, slop to be out there when you have it, like, enjoyed by this many people? I don't know, what's your
Yeah.
take on this, Steve?
I mean, yeah, the cable television has now become, like, just slop city, which is fine. I think, like, yeah, like, it's like if my mom wants to watch Matlock, like, sh with Kathy Bates, she can like, that's totally fine. I would say
Yeah.
that, like, a lot of these shows that are procedurals that have been on for 40 years have just been, like, junk food that's been consumed for years and years and years. Selfishly, it's annoying for me, whether it's AI slop or something like, some
What a fantastic transition point. Coincidentally, it's not rag on Tim Hillman Day, but my dad, he is a retired location manager, and the last show that he worked on was 911. The promo for season 9, this was going around the internet a little bit, and I don't know if you've seen this, Steve, but we'll play it for folks. And for context, this is the number 8 show as far as viewership. The 20
yeah, it's
Look
like
at that slop. Look at that beautiful slop.
even knowing that's not AI, it's, like, so AI coded in, like, the the visuals
I
of it.
know.
I find it a little rough, but again, I was saying earlier, there's people that spend, 8 hours a day ripping Candy Crush, like,
Okay.
there's people that spend 8 hours a day watching reality TV. I love criticism. I love reading Roger Ebert. I love Pauline Kael. I love disagreeing with people. If you can make me a valid argument that why 911 is awesome and why that promo is actually sick, I will gladly listen to your take.
Well, and let me flip the script here for a sec. Here's why I think something like 911 is excellent and we should have more of them. As I've established, my family has been in the industry for my entire life. And shows like these are, as I've also said, what kind of supported my family and put me in the position where I am right now. I think having slop television is okay in my mind because it's providing people jobs. It's providing like employment to an entire region that even as I say this right now, I know is still especially hurting from things like AI kind of taking over and also from, especially in Los Angeles, being taken overseas or to different states for certain tax credits. When I see something like 911, I think everyone deserves to get a paycheck. And if that means that we get shows like this where it's just like,
Totally.
yeah, this isn't going in the halls of like greatest television shows of all time, but this is paying for people's college tuition. This is paying
Totally.
for people's food on the table and being able to kind of support themselves. And so why not, you know?
Yeah. It's like I think it's just like older people are just still ripping cable television, which I also kinda love, and it is kind of a nostalgic thing, but anytime I open the YouTube TV app and I just look through cable TV, I'm like, "Dude, I might spend a day just watching cable TV." As sloppy as some of these shows are, I think it's there's a wholesome element to it, honestly, that there's still people out there that are ripping, CSI to this day, and they've been watching it for 25 years. They've just been consuming the junk food of CSI for 25 years. Uh, I don't know. There's definitely kind of a charm there to it that you don't get with something, with the sheen of, like, Prestige, Netflix, or HBO Max.
I think we should let's take it to our last topic here because I know you got to cook on this. So we're gonna talk about AI's iterative nature leading to stuck culture. What does that mean?
Okay, so this is something, I've had a lot of conversations with people about AI, in the group chats recently. This Sora 2 thing is just, like, blown up, and everyone keeps talking about it. So I've just been formulating just ideas in my head of why AI is bad. It's kinda hard to argue, like, against other than just being like, "It's scary," and, like, like, I've seen a lot of, "We're screwed," and it's like, "Why?" It's like, "Oh, we're screwed, man. AI is crazy now." And it's like,
Right.
I don't know. There's the argument of, like, AI is bad because, you can, manipulate, footage. Like, you could make it look like someone's stealing something. There's, like, the whole, like, revenge porn thing. It's like it's scary for stuff like that, for actual real world implications. There's this guy on Twitter that I remember way back when I was on Twitter, like, years ago. There's this guy, Paul Scalise. His name is Lindy Man. He was, like, always in my algorithm for some reason. He was always getting dunked on. He's, like, this culture writer. And he was always getting roasted by, like, the left and the right for having these, like, kinda, like, transcendental this guy. He has all these, like, kinda transcendental hot takes. He had 2 articles that I thought were pretty interesting about culture, being stuck and culture being refined down. And I remember reading this, like, back in the day and being like, "It's actually kind of an interesting concept." Stuck culture is essentially the idea that our culture is stuck right now in kind of a funk, whereas it's just not moving as fast as it once did. So, for example, if you look at, like, the difference between 1950 and, the 50s and the 60s, if you listen to a song from the 50s, you'd be able to pinpoint, like, "Oh, that's a 50s song." If you listen to a song from the 60s and it's got these psychedelic influences to it, you'd be like, "That's a song from the 60s." Whereas, like, it gets a little more sticky in the past 10 years. So if you look at, like, movies, for example, first Avengers movie came out in, like, 2012, so that's, like, 15 years ago, and it feels like, you could take that movie and plug it in today and be like, "Oh, yeah, those are the same actors that I see on my screen today." As the CGI holds up, the comedic elements to the superhero movie concept are still around 15 years later. And the idea of refinement is essentially that, like, logos, for example, like, you can see here, like, tech logos used to have, like, interesting typeface. They used to try to stick out, whereas now it feels like things are trying to blend in with each other more. It goes beyond, like, logos, it goes into architecture, like McDonald's, for example. Like, why is McDonald's look like a Santander Bank now when it used to have, like, Ronald McDonald standing outside, ball pits, crazy stuff. And you can look at all the buildings are starting to look the same, and, like, all the condos they're putting up fucking everywhere have the same look and feel to them. And then where I think generative AI comes into all of this to bring it all back around, AI is just iterating on things that already exist. So that's why, for example, like, you're seeing videos of, like, Stephen Hawking at the X Games or Darth Vader doing the Dougie or whatever. You're seeing all these, like, things that are based on things in the past. You're not seeing anything new, really net new being created with AI. If somehow this technology existed in, like, 1960 and you were to ask AI, make a G-funk, hip hop song in the style of the Dr. Dre, it would have no clue what you're talking about, because actual real world events and, like, the culture around LA didn't create that style of hip hop yet. But if you asked the AI to do that now, it would be able to create its best, Snoop Dogg impression. AI, banking off this kind of nostalgia and banking off the past and just iterating on things that already exist is going to keep things stuck and not moving. Things are going to be a little more boring and repetitive, I think, in the future, and things aren't going to change around us as much as they once did.
I guess where I don't know if this is a pushback, but, like, is that not where we are right now based on what you just shown me with, like, I was trying to find the example of I saw a photo of how, to your point, McDonald's looks like a Santander. You're both, like, correct, we're gonna be there, but we're also, like, there right now,
I think
and it's
so.
like, I agree on just, like, I wish I had a deeper thought about this, but just, like, it sucks. It sucks
Yeah.
because it's like, can we just have some daring stuff, like, that's out there. I don't know if you ever listen to Girl Talk.
Uh-uh.
So Girl Talk, I guess you call him a DJ, and he took all these, like, really famous, notable songs and made new songs based off of that. I'll find some examples and send them to you after this. And it's taking stuff that you already know and is recognizable, but it's, like, making it new. I mean, you know what, like, a remix is, or,
Yeah.
like,
The
that
other
sort of
guy
thing.
I think of is, Neil Cicierega. Do you remember that guy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Niels
yeah,
yeah,
like the mouth
exactly.
sounds
Yeah,
guy. Yeah.
similar thing. Essentially, my point is that we don't need to have just, like, oh, you have to make things that are, like, only new and can never use, like, something Like, because there is no I don't know, I think
Yeah.
there's no such thing as original work. Anthony Canada, who was the founder of Audience Plus, I've known him for a little bit now, but he posted this video, and he's posted these before, but it was a song parody of, the Black Parade, and it is I'm just gonna be honest, Anthony, it is definitely cringe. It is like a song parody that I think is a little bit played out and is, there's been that era. However, I can't help but watch this and just, like, have this weird nostalgia for, like, even just, like, 2, 3 years ago. You put effort into this. I can tell that you, like, actually tried, and it's like, there's something that's endearing, like, charming to me about coming back to what we were talking about with, like, liking your Slop TV. There's something endearing to this. It's like, "Hey, like, this is kinda memorable to me on
Yeah,
remember that guy that put all this effort into making this sort of, like, you know,
totally.
silly little video." Like, I like that.
AI is making everything so low effort to create something that technically looks real that now it's like something that we would look back on and be like, "Oh my god, another song parody. That's so fucking low effort." Like 5 years ago, and you look back on that now and you're like, "Oh wow, they actually filmed it. They actually got the backing track. They actually did all this stuff." The ability to actually make something with the click of a button is it makes it so putting actual effort into stuff is
See
becoming kind of nostalgic.
I feel like we've rambled a little bit, and I kinda wanna bring this to a close with I go online, it's very easy to get discouraged about the world, it's very easy to, just see all this slop and think like, "Ugh, what am I doing?" And so, I think it's important to go out there and touch grass. Steve, what are you doing to kind of disconnect and try to, touch grass in your own way?
Connect with the spiritual world a little bit, get out of the slop.
Mhm.
Yeah, so mine's a little interesting because it's not necessarily I did this all indoors, so I'm not really touching any grass here, but I got Ben, you were there for Fix That Funnel. You helped pitch
Mhm.
start Fix That Funnel. RIP Paddle Studios, but the show we had for Paddle Studios, we had for the set design, we had this old VHF yellow TV. I stumbled across a video on YouTube of this guy who has this TV called the Kuba Comet, and it's like this crazy old TV, that he restores, and he's like a psycho. He can, like, open the back up and, like, just mess around with the diodes and the chassis and all this stuff, and I went to his channel, and he has, like, videos of, other TVs he's restored, and in one of the videos, he was playing, like, an episode of King of the Hill on the old black and white TV, and I was like,
Right.
"Holy shit, you can do that?" I was like, "How is he doing that?" So I looked into it, went out, I got, like, a little VHF transmitter thing, plugged that in to the antenna jack, plugged it in, like, an RCA DVD player, went out, bought Night of the Living Dead, put it on the old TV, and next thing you know, you got a nice, scary little Halloween setup going with the old VHF TV.
I feel like it counts as touching grass because you were using the internet to, like, do it, but it's like you're getting your hands dirty, basically.
Exactly.
You're really getting into it.
It felt creative at its core, you know? It felt like I was doing something creative when I was going and getting all the little parts and everything, putting it all together. Even though it was relatively simple, I was like it was one of those things where you put it all together and then the anticipation of hitting that on button and being like, "Come on, dude, please work."
Yeah, for my touching grass, I literally go out and I touch grass. Maybe not every single time that I leave the house, I'm touching grass, but I have this morning routine that I stick to, and part of it is that very soon after I wake up, I will go on a walk just around the block. It's very easy for me to get locked into this room that I'm in right now, but I wanna start with my day with, like, "Okay, at least I went outside today and I experienced the world," you know? Um, and so that's just something that, like, I stick by. It helps me kind of get my heart moving a little bit early in the morning and just helps me set the tone of the day of, like, "Look, I went out, I touched grass, maybe not physically all the time, but yeah, that's kinda what I'm doing to disconnect."
That's nice, man. I think there is science behind I don't know, maybe it's pseudoscience, but there's something I read that if you go out,
Yeah.
if the first thing you do is, like, see the sun in the morning, it, like, spikes your cortisol or something, or
Like
you get, like,
blue
y
light or
yeah,
yeah.
you're, like it just sets you up for the day better. The saddest is, stumbling out of bed, going straight to the computer setup.